Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are
Notes
and Nerds. Hey guys, this is episode number 6 of Notes and Nerds. Today we're talking about our robots.
and androids.
There's a lot of amazing stuff that's coming along. It's almost to the point where it feels like we're on the level of Star Wars, R2-D2 and C-3PO.
A lot of good stuff coming out of America, Swiss, Germany, Japan. Very much so. 3 big ones that I personally like to hit on that are just the pinnacle of robotics right now is Cheetah, Petman, and Atlas. First off, Cheetah. Yeah, wow.
This thing reminds me of the Transformer Ravage, which was one of Soundwave's little robots that came out. The thing has a top speed of about 28 miles per hour, but it's not very stable. But it has an
well balanced at 18 miles per hour.
And it's faster than a real cheetah.
It's cool, but freaky at the same time. Seeing this thing in motion and going up, you're just like, wow, does this thing really exist? And if it does,
you're dead.
Yeah.
You're not out.
You cannot run from this thing.
Next up we have Petman, which is a beta, I guess beta 1 Terminator.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Terminator, but it doesn't have the Terminator head with the gun.
The thing is amazing. I mean, it balances on its own. It walks. It does various poses. It even does push-ups.
Yeah, it can climb. It can jump. It can tell where a hole is in the ground and how to operate around it. If something gets in its way, like a rock or a log, it can either balance itself to step over it, on it, or around it. Very, very high-tech stuff here.
Then there's Atlas. Atlas is the next version of Petman. It's the step up. This thing reminds me of the robot from the old 1980s film Saturn III. And because it looks so much like it, it's kind of scary in the fact that robot in that movie killed everybody.
Yeah, it just went nuts and just slaughtered everybody.
And Atlas has got better balance, better mobility, better stability. It's faster and has more, I guess you could say, mobility in the body itself in comparison to Petman. The government's telling us that it's for usage of testing military clothing. Yeah. No, I don't buy it. So, you know, robots are going from the cute, adorable C-3PO R2-D2 look to Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, scary and deadly. So yeah, on top of that, you was talking about Japan and all those.
Oh, well, I mean, it's really cool how they're doing this from a seedy subject, like these new virtual sex dolls or sex toys they have out. Japan is building on that and taking the Swiss and the American version and basically putting intelligence, conversation patterns, feelings. So like when an arm is cracked, it can sense it. You can have an actual hour-on-hour conversation with this robot, and they're also perfecting it for the dental field.
That one looks incredible. I saw that where it has the weird, like, you know, some
reflexes, choking method.
Like, for example, in the video right here at the bottom, I'm going to show you, there's a couple scenes in there where they're doing their thing, and you see the robot do this number. Like, okay, have you ever had your teeth worked on in a dentist, and they hit the nerve on the tooth, and you're like, that hurt, and that's what this
your
robot
instinct is to pull away, and that's what their instinct is, or the program is to pull away, act as choking, distress, boredom.
Yeah. And it's also helped the student actually become more comfortable around these things.
And more aware of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of things out there regarding these robots and the artificial intelligence that's involved.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of, I mean, the Cheetah, the Petman, the Atlas, doing a lot of good work.
It's kind of scary, though.
I mean, the robotics is really good. And how they're getting close to human looks and movement.
And that's something I want to hit on real quick. Regarding the look of the human appearance, a lot of futurists and a lot of roboticists that talk about the future of robotics are discussing things what I agree fully on. Robots or androids should never look completely human. I mean, look at C-3PO. I think that is where it really needs to be as far as like how close it gets. Have the human appearance, have the human feel to it, or even like the currently existing Asimos from Honda.
You want to be able to tell
You want to know it's a robot.
yeah, you don't want the feeling of deception.
Look at Blade Runner is a great, perfect example. The replicants in Blade Runner, and even the Terminators with the human flesh exterior, you can't see that it's actually a robot. You don't even know in Blade Runner the replicants are robots because they are, in a sense, human, except their DNA is digital, but it's all flesh and bone though. And the problem with them is that they had a 4-year lifespan, so this way, because they actually start developing emotion, and because they were already fully grown adults, the sudden impact of emotion drew them crazy. So I mean, we really need to have robots at a point where we don't confuse them, not just because of that, but also the human psychological impact that it has. Because what if people were identifying with robots more than they were with people?
People themselves, yeah.
And it creates a very interesting society where are we falling apart. But we'll talk more about some of the Asimov's 3 laws of robotics in a moment.
Gargana, come with me if you want to live. Get down, get to the chopper. It's not a tumor.
Hey guys,
Welcome back.
and we are talking about the artificial intelligence.
The program, if you will, that controls robots and androids.
Robotic brain.
To break it down, to best explain it, we're going to compare transistors to neurons. Transistors is what makes up the processor, neurons is what makes up the brain. In transistors, this is why artificial intelligence right now is not going to actually be a reality, it's just pure science fiction. Regardless if you have a multi-core processor, your transistors are always going to be the weakest link. Transistors only allow 1 bit of information in at a time. Regardless of how much is coming in, it only comes in 1 at a time. And same when it comes out. It's kind of like a 4-lane highway merging to 1 lane, back to 4 lane. Each lane has to take a turn coming in and then take a turn coming out. Whereas a human neuron,
You got hundreds going in at once and being able to process properly without doing it single file.
yeah, it just comes in and all goes out in this wonderful uniform, well, I wouldn't say uniform, the human brain is kind of messy. It all comes in and all goes out where it needs to go.
A
easily.
beautiful disaster piece.
Yes. Chaos and order.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, once we get to the point where computer processors and transistors mimic the human brain and neurons, we're never going to see true artificial intelligence. Right now, like we was talking about this,
Will
Japanese
this
robots.
ever become this?
Not in our lifetime.
I don't know.
The thing what you was talking about earlier about the Japanese robots that that are having the artificial intelligence be able to understand certain tones in the voice and the way the person looks on their face, that isn't artificial intelligence. That's not even simulated intelligence. That's what I would like to call emulated intelligence.
Or what I call fake.
Same thing. I mean, it's kind of like emulating a Super Nintendo on my tablet or on this computer. It's not really the same thing. It's just pretending to be. With these robots in Japan that are emulating emotion and conversation,
Feeling.
it's because it's programmed that way. It's programmed to know how to be sad. Even though if you ask the robot, explain sadness to me, the robot's going to be sadness is sadness. Whereas you explain, if you have a person explain sadness, it is this feeling, it's this emotion where I get a sunken feeling in my stomach where it just kind of
Sadly
falls
enough,
out.
when it shows emotion, it seems more entertaining than your sadness or you being mad towards this, because it's an adamant object.
Yeah, we don't view them because of the lack of actual intelligence in there. Regardless of being simulated or artificial altogether, it just doesn't really feel connected.
A toaster is a toaster, and you don't make a toast to your friend.
Exactly. And with that, on that line actually, we have 3 laws established by Isaac Asimov, one of the greatest science fiction writers of our time.
The 3 laws of robotics.
He established these for his work of fiction to help give a baseline of how his robots will always act.
iRobot, one of his masterpieces, and
Bicentennial
Man.
Now, Bicentennial Man, the movie, kind of deviated from the original material,
Yeah.
but the basics of Isaac Asimov's 3 laws are still there. Law number 1 states, a robot may never injure a human being or through inaction, allow a human being to become harmed. Number 2, a robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And number 3, a robot must protect its own existence, self-preservation, as long as that protection does not conflict with laws 1 or 2. Now, kind of elaborate. Law number 1, basically meaning that as a robot, I can't come up to Nathan and start beating him up and hurting him because that violates that law. Or allowing our camera person, Bree, to come up and beat on Nathan, and I'm the robot saying, I see it, I have to stop it without hurting either of them because they're both human. So I cannot allow, the robot can't allow any harm.
Number 3.
Number 2, must obey orders. Nathan being the human being the robot, Nathan cannot tell me, beat me up, because that would violate rule number 1. But he could tell me to go and beat up that table. Number 3, as a robot, I must protect myself. Self-preservation. It's a basic human nature even. And we want our robots to be that way because you spend $1 billion on a robot, you don't want that robot to go and run in front of a semi and get destroyed.
But in the situation that the robot has to self-destruct to save the person's life, like if I had to take my life just to preserve Eric's, I would have to.
Yeah. So I mean, these are 3 laws, 3 basic laws that are very important. We need to establish in robots.
Yeah.
And another reason why this is because
without it, you're going to have pure chaos.
Terminators running wild in the streets. And speaking of Terminators, a lot of futurists and a lot of roboticists talk about where robotics and androids are going from today's point of view. I'm all in for the idea that androids should look nothing more farther past the humanoid state of what C-3PO looks like.
Yeah.
Have the humanoid form and factor, have the humanoid features.
Confusing.
It should not look like a human.
Yeah.
It should not have skin. It should not have blood. It should not be something that if you go and touch, it feels like a living human being.
Yeah.
It should always be a robot. But we want to give it humanoid appearance for comfort.
Yeah.
For we want to be able to feel comfortable around it. But Blade Runner, or I Dream of Electric Sheep, which is the novel that the movie was based off of, and the Terminator series is a great point in how when we start allowing robots to look exactly like a person, it creates an issue where people will start identifying more with the robots than the real people because we can always program the robot to be exactly what we want. And
But Terminator, like the robot, was of a robotic
infiltration though too. We want to eliminate the possibility that what if an enemy of the state decides to create a robot that looks exactly like a person, infiltrates into the government or the military, creates
a robotic president.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. That's why robots should never be allowed to look like humans. Whether that be like, okay, I don't mind the whole silicone, fake skin, so it looks fake. That's cool, but maybe still too close.
Don't need to be heartless, but a toaster should look like a toaster. People should look like people. Animals should look like animals. There's a purpose for this.
Exactly. So with that, I think we've pretty much covered everything for our episode.
Yeah.
So
let's just do a little mini wrap up here. Okay, so we got stuff from Cheetah. We got Petman. We got Atlas. Cheetah, high speeds, scary. Petman, maybe Terminator.
Scary.
You got Atlas, which is a better version of it.
Which is even scarier.
You got the Swiss, American, and Japanese coming up with these really real-looking androids that are feeling, seeing, touching, doing everything but eating.
Scarier.
Yeah, and then you have artificial life, which is not close to human intelligence or the process, but will never be.
It'll be,
maybe,
not in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime.
I don't even know if it'll be in our children's lifetime.
Don't really know. But very interesting stuff. Really good stuff for the future.
Yep. So, hey guys, this was episode number 6 of Notes and Nerds, where we talked about robots, androids, and the future of AI, which pretty much isn't going to happen anytime in our future. So, you know,
remember to like, subscribe, and watch. And remember, these are not the toes you're looking for, but they are.